My upgrades are invincible. Chapter 87, Fantasy Fiction by Azazyel. After a couple of hours of talking with Materia, in the upper cabin and making out a bit. Just a bit. We rejoined Eris out on the deck to talk some more before I brought the ship back to the shoreline and then put it back into my taming space, seeing as the ship was technically alive. From the shoreline we walked back into the streets of Melen, and as we were talking, I asked curiously. So Eris, how did the rest of the criminal purge go? The blind, magic-wielding swordswoman gave a soft humming noise before she looked elsewhere and then spoke calmly. It was slightly messy in truth, dealing with the captains and adventurers whose strength could break the bonds I had available. Then of course needing to shackle up the annoying, evil gods to be sent to Lady Hera. My lips twitched as I imagined a bunch of so-called evil gods just shouting at Eris and being the typical Danmachi god shtick of being an annoying asshole. Eris gave me a bland look and said with annoyance. However bad you think it was. It was worse. I pity my friend's ears who carted the divines from Melen to Rio for judgment. But then Eris looked a different direction and spoke. In either case, Jake, you have done well for yourself here in Melen at least. I gave an easy shrug and said. It's been a bit touch and go. Been selling some weapons and elixirs to other familiars to make the money I need. Also helps prices are much lower down here in Melen compared to Rio. Idly I wondered how Tina and Tamamo were doing while helping the Astria Familia get those mentally fucked previously slaves settled in. But I continued to bring Materia and Eris up through the large beachfront past the gates and onto our property's back lot. How about I make us some sandwiches for lunch? I offered the two girls. Oh. I wanna help. Materia offered excitedly, and I saw Eris pale before Eris said firmly. No, it's quite alright Materia, you help me to a chair please. I got a leg cramp. And gods, that was the weakest of lies for a level 7 to make. But Materia, being the sweetheart she was, just nodded and fussed over Eris, who threw me a firm shake of the head as I went into the kitchen to make us some quick lunch. Is Materia one of those girls who just can't conceptually cook? Whatever she touches turns to glowing purple sludge or something. I mean, I have seen people get nosebleeds from seeing girls with their clothes all torn up from being in a dungeon. I mused as I quickly made some food. Bringing over the simple yet filling sandwiches, we continued talking genially about Rio, life as an adventurer, and Materia sharing her favorite novels. But then a soft rumble rang out that made me pause. Coastal earthquake. I mused before Eris tilted her head to the side and stared out past the walls towards the lake of Melen. She calmly spoke out. No. A mutated amphisbaena has seemingly broken through the tunnel leading from the dungeon. It seems someone has been breaking the rules about purposefully feeding dungeon monsters, monster stones from other dungeon monsters. I raised an eyebrow with my body rising with tension as I spoke slowly. We are here right on the coast. Should we move Materia further inland? But Eris only smiled softly before saying easily. The mutated amphisbaena should be considered around level 7, maybe lower level 8 within the waters of Melen, but there are many familias within Melen with their own mages. And the Poseidon familia is here, who has several level 7s and 3 retired level 8s that moved to the Hera and Zeus familias before returning. Hearing that, I tilted my head in thought before nodding, as it made sense with how the Hades and Poseidon familias regularly sent people that reached level 5 up to the Hera and Zeus familia depending on their gender to join the big leagues, as it were. But then a massive rumble that shook the beach mansion so hard that our glasses of water actually tipped over on the table rang out, with my hand slamming on the table to keep it down as I saw Eris go utterly pale. The Poseidon familia is gone. Their souls are leaving through the air. With a flash Eris snapped up to her feet while we followed, with her staff sword being held up as she sprinted out of the house, and I gaped as a loud scream of energy filled the air as a golden light shot into the sky. And the oppressive light burned my eyes with its concentrated power, with Eris hissing and covering her blind eyes with a groan as she whimpered. Hades. Hades is being sent back to Tenkai. What the actual fuck just happened? I mentally screamed, and then I froze. I slowly turned as a loud rushing noise of water hit the beach. And then the amphisbaena's 5 massive heads grew from the water in the distance. And I realized that I was now fucking stuck in fighting kaiju territory as the massive amphisbaena was. Just unspeakably massive. Each head from the distance looked to be bigger than two of my beach mansions stacked atop one another. And it was fast. It was quickly moving down the couple miles of water towards the coastline even as alarms rang throughout Melen and hitting my ears at what was obviously a terrorist attack of some kind that had hit the Poseidon and Hades familia. Actually, Jake. I do believe moving Materia further inland now would be a good idea. Eris spoke with restored calm as she eyed the amphisbaena rushing towards the city of Melen with its eyes glowing bright red showing it was controlled by the dungeon's will. I gave Eris a look before saying flatly. Are you suggesting you will be staying here to fight it? To which Eris snorted and replied frankly and quite shamelessly. Oh dear Hera, no, I know my limits and my magic cannot kill this creature on my own before I run out of mind. I will merely work to divert its attention to allow the people of Melen to collect themselves. The creature was moving through the water quickly. And knowing we had but minutes till it was upon land and within the city, I bit my lips and said, Materia, climb on my back, let's go. I got Materia onto my back in a piggyback position with my hand supporting her legs and then I was off. Running towards the back portion of the city to get myself to the Astria Familia where Tina and Tamamo was supposed to be. Jake, over here. I heard a voice call out through the rush of noise in the city and looking over I blinked seeing Tina was standing on Elisa's shoulders with a pair of binoculars of all things as they were on top of a larger hotel. I put Materia on the ground and pointed for her to go further east towards the edge of the city before I used my adventurous strength to just monkey climb up the ridges of the hotel, and after climbing up I scowled as I saw the amphisbaena having reached shallower ground was truly just fucking massive. Tina gave me a look of relief as she sighed and said, I'm glad you weren't on the lake or still at our house. And just as she finished speaking I saw a light from the amphisbaena 5 mouths fill up and I mentally cursed it as from all 5 mouths came powerful beams of elemental destruction that smashed into the city. No time for pleasantries, Tina. Tina, Tamamo, you two are to go retrieve wounded. I ordered before I looked at the Astria members with their leader Elise frowning before nodding. Me and Kagaya are only level 3. We probably can't even break the scales on that monster, so we will help your familia members in looking for wounded from the attacks that are inevitably going to blast around. I nodded in understanding before exhaling and taking in the massive monster and wondering the obvious. What could I do to the monster to help? And then I paused. As I had made a lot of potions, and poisons, and had several toxic and cursed weapons I hadn't done the challenges of to enhance their magical effects. I mentally selected the flask that was a potion of blindness and I then picked a large spear-like bolt that fit into the siege crossbow I had made to mess with large monsters, and with a mental flex the bolt and potion fused. Bolt of blindness, enemies struck with the magical bolt will have their vision darkened greatly while the bolt remains embedded within their form. I quickly made a dozen more and then I began making my way down to the coastline. As if I had my way. I was going to bring down the amphisbaena with 1,000 debuffs, making it possible for the level 5s and above to be able to deal with the massive mutated boss monster.